Hello, and thank you for joining me. Just wanted to take a minute to jump on here. I'm up at my little break area where I've done so many recordings this spring and summer, and I'm looking around behind me and around me, and I'm just noticing how exposed I feel in the summer months, all the lush green, and everything just sort of made me this nice little cove that I could hide in, and I felt so safe and unnoticed. And now suddenly with fall and the leaves and the change of everything, I'm completely exposed in my little area. And everything is connected. And so I sat for a moment with that idea, and I realized that this time of year we do feel very exposed, very vulnerable, very much dependent on an energy that can often feel depleted if we're not doing our work to align and to reflect and to assess and let things go and stay present. We can just really, really feel very, very vulnerable and beat up, and like people are picking at us, and like the world is picking on us. And I want you to just simply take a moment to notice how that feels, to notice what's bringing about those feelings, to notice what triggers those responses and how you're responding to those triggers. Are you jumping right down the rabbit hole behind them? Or are you taking a moment to pause? And it's remembering that when we're feeling vulnerable and exposed and like our weaknesses are showing, or we're feeling judged, we tend to jump to conclusions. We tend to make decisions without really thinking about things. We're trying to protect, we're trying to hide, we're trying to stay safe. And in doing that, we actually create more friction, more resistance, more vulnerability. We make decisions and mistakes out of fear, and sometimes we actually create problems that wouldn't have been at all had we been able to feel more secure. And that sense of security comes from an inner knowing, an inner alignment that just allows us to feel comfortable in our own skin. And noticing that we're feeling vulnerable, instead of reacting to it, start asking some questions about it. Why am I feeling so exposed? Is there a way that I could shift my thinking? Is there a way I could shift the way that I'm presenting myself to the world so I don't feel so exposed? Is there things that maybe I'm not looking at that are making me feel more vulnerable, or like I'm not in control of things? The work is always coming in with, how am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling that way? And what am I willing to invest in order to change the way I feel? And there's not always a quick fix. Sometimes I might start working on it today, and it may take several years before I really realize my investment. That's the work. That is the work. Knowing that sometimes a 5-minute investment will show up and change the next 5 years of your life. And sometimes it takes a 5-year investment to change something that really only takes a minute or two to consider, but it will change the rest of your life. It will change the way you do things, change the way you feel about things. It will change you as a person. And so just taking the time to slow down, taking the time to expand on those thoughts that do create anxiety, that do create something in us that just isn't quite comfortable. But instead of chasing it down that anxious rabbit hole, just be curious. Why am I feeling anxious about that thing? What do I want to do? There's always an answer, and sometimes the answer is just to be with it. Feel the anxiety. Notice what it's trying to tell you. And then decide what to do with the answers. This time of year, we are being called to be patient, to move within, to reflect, to notice, to respond after pausing. The outside world is going, give, give, give. It's holidays. It's this, it's that. I want. You need, you have to have. Notice that. And then find out where you want to stand in it. Do you want to be a part of the chaos? Do you want to be completely disincluded, or do you want to be somewhere in between? And what does that look like? And how do you need to show up so that that's possible for you? I believe that we're all being called to notice our excuses right now. And what I'm noticing is that as much as I have worked to be accountable, as much as I work to be present, I still have a lot of those little excuses that I'm having to look at. And it's in those excuses that we begin to unravel where the being stuck and the feeling unhealed and the not knowing the answers really lie. You have the answers. Listen, reflect, notice, use your voice. Stop making excuses. Stop excusing things that are not okay with you, that do not align with you, that do not bring you the experience that you're looking for. That's real accountability. That's where it starts. How am I my own best friend? And how am I my own worst enemy? I send you so much light and love. Being present, noticing, accountability. This is hard work. Thank you for showing up. Namaste.